Ciao, everybody. It is the Climb Along podcast. My name is John.
My name is Ira.
And today we're talking about interracial couple and cultural differences.
Yeah, we decided to switch from the more serious topic of finances last time to something funny, something close to us, being from two different cultures, or for you, even like two mixed cultures together.
American and Filipino life.
Yes, and for me, it's from being from Ukrainian culture and now living in a different culture in Italy. It's a lot of differences that we find between ourselves, and I think those are fun to talk about.
We've just become a mixed bag personality. So just if we're talking to amongst ourselves, just leave us alone. We're talking to each other. So, first things first, did we ever think we would marry or even date someone of a different nationality?
Yeah, so for me, actually, I had it as a dream in my head that I would marry someone who at least speaks English. I don't think I had a super like specific, like American or so. But at least I was always imagining that I would marry someone who speaks English. So one of the cultures, I don't know, British, American. I don't think I ever thought of Australia. I guess that was way too far out from my...
It's too down under.
Yeah, way too far on the globe. But so I was kind of having that as in my mind. And I always wanted to try to live in an English-speaking country, so it was definitely not a surprise for me to start our relationship. It was more so like what I was wanting rather than, let's say some of my friends who were like, maybe, I want to marry someone from our town or something like that. Not that I was like super specific, but, I would not date anyone else, but, just something in the back of your mind. What about you, love?
Yeah, I think so as well, just because, before I was saved in the U.S., did dating the U.S. way, and it was just not the right way. And I even thought that, like before I even started doing the things that I shouldn't have been doing at 19, 20, 21 years old. At 17 years old, when I went to Europe, the first thing that I thought in my mind was, okay, I'm definitely going to marry someone who's European rather than American. And it just so happened to be that when I got saved and I started, looking for someone, I was not thinking one in the military because I had it in my head as a strict rule for myself, no mill to mill, always military to civilian. And it just so happens that she was at Heart of Dating. Click the link here or here for the link of our love story. But you just happened to be at Heart of Dating, and I saw that she was from Ukraine, and I was like, oh, Ukraine is in Europe, and I'm in Europe right now. Maybe there's a chance that we could meet up. Yeah. So I always thought that I would marry someone of a different nationality, never someone from my own nationality or even American, because I had bad experiences.
Not that that's bad for everyone, but
right,
yeah,
just for me personally.
Experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then next, what was our first impressions of each other when we started talking?
Yeah, so I think since we started talking like online, over text, there isn't really too much you can get from the person. But I definitely was, I guess, surprised by his photos. Like, I think the photos that you had on your profile was like, jiu-jitsu competition or so, like, just the guy in like a straw hat or so, but definitely not what I would be used to, what guys would be posting in like my school circle or wherever, like the guys from where I grew up. It was definitely, you were very smiley and fun and like welcoming. I think those are some of the first ideas I got from you.
Thank you. I think definitely the first time I started talking to Ira, it took me a while to get her to give me Well, it's not a while, but I got her to give me a voice note so I can hear her voice. And the first thing that I thought in my head was like her Ukrainian English accent was just delightful. I said that it was a delightful accent, voice that you had. A soothing. She had a soothing voice.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
yeah, and other than that, I just she had a lot of deep questions. She was very intentional with our conversations, rather than playing around the bush.
But that can be not necessarily culture specific,
That's
more
true.
just person specific. Because I also liked a lot of things, though.
Yeah.
The way, I think in a love story we mentioned, like the way we liked how our conversations were going and such. But yeah, again, not too many impressions, since it was very slow getting to know each other. But
Yeah. Well, what are some funny differences that we notice in our daily life that we think, oh, hey, they are from a different nationality? I mean, we've been with each other for about 3 years now.
yeah.
Yes. 3
Yeah, so
years.
some of like these things are kind of hard to think about because you just get used to
Yes.
each other's habits and like differences so much that you just don't really get surprised by them. But I think, again, what is one thing that we all do every day? We eat. And that is one difference that probably is going to stick with us for the rest of our lives. It's just our food habits, specifically the things that we can eat like a ton of. And for you, it's something that would be surprising for me is that you can just eat like rice. Was it rice, egg, and like spinach?
Rice, eggs, spinach, and bacon, and
Yeah.
also cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, like for the rest of your life. Like
Yeah,
if-
breakfast and dinner, 2 months
Yeah.
straight. Oh,
yeah,
so good.
and you wouldn't get tired because for me it's like, okay, you know, I can eat some rice, like I like rice in a lot of dishes, but it definitely would not be something I would like be able to eat for 3 meals a day every day.
Yeah, it's the Filipino delicacy. Rice with everything.
Yeah.
I think in the same way for you, I myself in my Filipino family, we did not eat potatoes every day. We would eat them either in a stew or as mashed potatoes, but we wouldn't eat a ton of potatoes, not at all. Potatoes were a special thing. Another thing is we wouldn't eat bread every day. Everything, like our carbs was always rice, like rice with every meal, and then we can add bread onto it if we wanted to. But bread was just bread. I think was a snack for us as for Filipinos. Yeah.
Yeah, I love bread. Like I sometimes think about like, you know, diets that you maybe put on for like medical reasons or so, either like, you know, things with pregnancy or so, and I'm like, please don't tell me I cannot eat like bread or anything like flour. Like I don't know how I would be surviving, but I would be surviving.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like potatoes are my rice, like what rice is for you.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many ways you can cook them. Like you can eat them with everything. And I have a friend who is engaged to a Vietnamese guy, and oh wait, not Vietnamese, Indonesian guy. They live in Vietnam. Never mind. But she, another Asian, and she made the same like video of their differences between like one eats a ton of rice, one eats a ton of potatoes, and I guess this is just what it is for two of our cultures.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Well, what other things that we saw that were different? I know for me, for sure, there were specific. I think as an American, we don't walk. We drive because not a lot of places are walkable. The first time I met you, you just wanted to walk everywhere, and I thought I was, fit, but you get to walk in a lot, it tires you out. So and you were just a master at public transportation, and I just love driving in my car.
I remember still when we were in Greece, when I lived there and you came to visit. And I remember I told you, like, yeah, like the cheaper way to get from the airport to the town is to take a bus. And you were like, no, like I'm gonna like get killed or something. And I'm like, it's not that bad. I drove there. So you did try it out, and that was good.
I did.
You know, compare €5 to 50. You can risk your life for that. But yeah, that's definitely that's definitely something that I think you grew in, especially living in Europe.
Yes, yeah.
Is that, you know, there's this beauty of just, you know, walking out in the evening and going to the center and getting like a little ice cream or dessert. There's just something sweet about that.
It's very convenient and very nice.
Yeah.
I do have to say that.
Yeah, I guess another difference that, you know, still kind of sticks around is just our like character or how open we are, because of course, you know, comparing like, I mean, I think American culture is very like welcoming to strangers and very open, but you know, add on top of that your Filipino culture that is like, you know, everybody is a family. You are very open, which is really cool. I really love that because it's just creates so much more, I guess, warmth around meeting new people, being able to make new friends in different places. But you're like open to the point that like, you know, I think it was way more when we were dating, and it was shocking me a little more when you would just like start like singing loudly like in the street or so, and I'm like, okay, like, be a little more quiet, like people are all looking. But because for me it's like, you know, like you don't gotta disturb people, like you don't in Ukraine, like what I would do is, you know, if I'm walking down the street and there's someone walking to me and I assessed already that I don't know them, like they're not an acquaintance, they're unless they're like an older person, usually older people would be like welcomed to say hi to them or something. But if it's just like a regular person, like I would just be like, okay, where do I look? Okay, how can I? Oh, I can turn this way so that I don't have to walk to them. And like, because you wouldn't say hi, you would just like kind of glance at each other. Oh, I don't know this person, and just walk by. But it is still awkward. Even just doing that is awkward. I don't know why we do that, but
that's definitely one of the things that because Italy here, it's kind of a little bit like American and Filipino culture. And just everyone says ciao, ciao, buongiorno, and it was just easier for me to integrate into. But I remember how when you first came here and how like everyone was just saying ciao or hi, it was a little bit shocking to you at first, and I really didn't get it until I went to Poland, a more Eastern European culture, and I tried saying I think dobry dan, like their good morning, just like how in Italian here we say buongiorno if it's good morning, just to random strangers. I did that and I got looks. I got like people were thinking, who's this weird guy saying good morning? Does he know me? I don't think I know him.
Well, since I know those like situations, you know, I mean that cultural like, you know, awkwardness between saying, I think why they looked concerned is that they were just trying to figure out in their head, like, wait, do I know you? Like, you know, like, am I supposed to know you? Because usually those are the people that would be greeting you. Yeah, but I think we've gotten so much better. Like, I, you know, have learned from Italians over here to just say hi to people. And then
I learned to know when to be quiet. There is a proper place and time. Yeah. But what else do we think?
I think I had one more thing about like food related. You like sweet meats, and that is definitely something like coming from the Filipino side, because like in Ukraine we just don't mix like sugar and meat. Like it's just I don't even know if I can think of, maybe like there is some dish that I don't know, but usually meat is salty. And then sugar is in the sweet dishes. But whenever you would be cooking something and it's either like
pork tocino, so good. Longanisa, so good.
Yeah, it's just a different like taste pattern. That is unusual for me, and I'm like, it's not bad, but I just don't want to eat a lot of it because I just feel like I'm eating a dessert and I'm not supposed to be eating a dessert with meat. But there can be a lot of food differences, but we definitely develop our own dishes and such, so we're getting better at that.
And I think one last thing I want to say, you always are very, very dressy whenever you leave the house. She always has dresses, always has skirts, and I am super spoiled when it comes to this. Because in the States, you've seen in the States, her first time walking into Walmart, people just come to the supermarket store in sweatpants, hoodies, flip-flops. I would go into places with flip-flops and shorts and flip-flops and jeans, but then you were always so elegant. And that's something I myself have gotten a little bit better whenever we started going out, started dressing up a little bit more, my style got a lot better. So
that is a big change.
Praise the Lord.
No, but I learned more from you that now whenever I go and walk our dog in the morning, I'm like, it's 8 a.m. I can walk out in my pajamas. And I don't know how Italians feel about it. I'll need to talk to someone who's Italian, but sometimes I walk out and I'm like, you know what? It's just not worth it getting dressed for getting my dog out.
Yes. Yeah. Well, other things is what are some tips that help us navigate our different cultural differences?
Yeah, so I think I just thought of one that now that you mentioned about how you changed with clothing that you wear. For me in the beginning, that was once we already started meeting in person, that was a little more surprising because I would dress up and I'm we're going for some dinner, so even though it wasn't supposed to be fancy, of course, but I know that you would still be very sporty or beach style, but at first I was oh, okay, does he just not want to dress up nice? But I wanted to, just us to dress up, kind of match each other. But later on, it wasn't even necessarily that you have to pressure the person and say, this is you have to change here, because it's such a little thing. But I just want to say, as one of the tips or encouragement, is that people do change, you do adapt to each other. It's not I came up to you and was you need to buy 5 suits, we're gonna get you a whole new wardrobe. The straw hat, the straw hat might have been one of the things that I did have to match, because you wanted to
no more walking out in the street with that.
I am fine
just in the beach.
Yes, I'm fine with that on the beach, but otherwise it's just starting to date and getting married, getting more friends who are also married, and you started seeing the style of other guys, because maybe before you were hanging out around single guys. It's have no reason to really dress up in the scenario that you were in here, or the group of people. But so one of the tips would be just people change, and you always adapt to each other, and you don't have to change all the the little things that you maybe would prefer the other person to change. That doesn't have to happen immediately. Again, anything that is a priority to you can mention, but sometimes just giving it time and
Okay, well then next tip is being open to different traditions and creating our own together. I know that we came from 2 different cultures, and some families practiced Christmas this way, some families practice Christmas this way. For example, how we practice Christmas in my household was that we watched the 10 Commandments, the very old one, Sound of Music, and Christmas Snoopy, and we would have honey baked ham with green bean casserole, and then we would open the gifts exactly on the 25th.
Yeah, which was different for me, and for me it was more about family gatherings. So if we celebrate, we tried to celebrate Christmas together, just the 2 of us, which I think would be much more fun once we have like, more children and like, we're able to do some fun family traditions. But when it was just the two of us, it just was boring. Like it just didn't feel festive, I think. So when we did what like I was craving, I was like, okay, let's just try this out one year. Was inviting people, because I always got used to having my family around, and even though it wasn't anything crazy or like we didn't have any games or anything, we just literally just a family gather and we just eat and talk and have TV on the background maybe, but so it was like very different. You were more like the family alone. For me it was like family gathering, but yeah, we were able to put it together, and I think it worked out really well. I was really happy with our last Christmas.
That was such a special Christmas. We had a lot of people. I think we had maybe 12 to 15 people around our table, and it was such a sweet time. One Christmas thing that I think we didn't keep was fish for Christmas. We tried that. It was total.
From my family. We would just have like some sort of fish usually.
Yeah.
Our fish was a fiasco.
Yeah.
Fish grill. Don't grill a gigantic fish on a tiny grill.
Yeah, I had
You were wondering if that's gonna work,
Yes, we had like a small portable grill, and I'm on the balcony, and it was my first time grilling too, and I thought, oh, this fish could fit on it, but it was a massive fish, so it's like its tail was dangling out on the outside while the rest of its body was getting cooked, and the head was dangling too. Yeah, it's like, who needs to eat the tail? Who needs to eat the head? We'll just eat the middle parts, So
let's just say we ended up putting it in the oven and throwing away most of it, like because it was too much. But yeah, staying on the topic is that the tip is being open to different traditions. Like I can't imagine if you were like, no, like we can only do it this way. It was more so, we just bring up different things. It's like, hey, what is important for you? Because there are some traditions that you did that you were like, I don't really care for doing them. There's some traditions for me that I'm like, I don't really want to do them, but then there are always something that we can put together, kind of like piece up the little picture and make it our own. I think that's really sweet.
Yeah,
and the third tip would be something that helped us, I think, in the beginning, just when we were dating, since we had a lot of time to talk to each other during long distance, was actually discussing the way our upbringing affected us. So basically, just discussing, like, mostly I think we focused on like our, like how we were parented. Is that the word? Yeah. It's like, or just what our parents did, maybe what our families did. It can be anything, and a lot of even just the parenting was also culture specific, I think.
Yes, yeah.
So I think it was really helpful to just go through all of the little details and be like, oh, okay, like that is why, you act in this way in these situations is because, this is how your dad acted, or this is how your mom taught you. It's like all of those little things, even though it doesn't have to be necessarily for like interracial couples, it can be for any couples. I think it's really helpful to understand, like, okay, how did I come here, to be this person that I am, like what affected me, and how we can work on, the good things and the bad things that came from that, and how we can come to a place where we are, on the same page and understand each other and our differences through that. A third thing, a fourth tip, I would say, is seeing ourselves as never really fully belonging to one country. I know there's a lot of patriotism in the U.S., for sure. And I think there's a lot of patriotism in Ukraine as well. But I think we just felt like as if we haven't really belonged in a place because we've been to multiple different countries. And we just felt that home is where we both are, to be honest. And we're able to assimilate to any different culture, any different surroundings. We're able to take everything as a journey together. Yeah, and it's not about like that we don't feel like patriotic. It's more about, I guess, that we don't just say that like, this is like my only culture that
Yeah.
I, feel the most comfortable in.
Yeah.
It's more about, it's more just about, that like we would be able to adapt to so many different cultures. And I think that adaptability has been so nice in our relationship, especially as we, move and live in different places. And you don't have to move across countries to feel that. I mean, even in the States, like moving across states can make you feel like you're in a completely different culture. So just I guess being, being just open to like not necessarily tying yourself with one culture in a way. It would be hard to, I guess, have interracial relationship if you were like, no, like this is like the only culture I can imagine. I want my kids to be exactly like I grew up, like that. I feel like that can create extra weight. But just being a little more free is like, okay, what can I learn from other cultures? Kind of like that.
Yeah. So there are still things that we are working on while we navigate through a interracial, intercultural marriage. So one of the things is figuring out on how we will bring up our first child, James.
On the way, 50 days.
Specifically in terms in the languages he will speak. You want to speak on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I was thinking that, as for like upbringing of children, we don't really have like that many like cultural aspects that we are like concerned about. I think the only one is really the language, because you want to try to think, okay, how is he gonna communicate with these grandparents who don't know this like English or so?
Yeah.
How is that gonna work? And also, I know that you, by the way, you told me that because your parents didn't like make you know.
Yeah.
Can you call Filipino? I know you
Ilonggo.
have you have different
Dialects.
but they didn't make you learn Ilonggo, but you when grew up, you were like, I wish they did. So we're trying to incorporate that as like, okay, like what can we give him in order so that like when he grows up, he can
learn.
Yeah, like if he wants to know more of this culture from his parents, I don't know. So I guess with the language, so far we are trying to figure it out. We're gonna see. I mean, we're gonna have some time because he's not gonna start talking straight out of the womb. But I think so far we're just trying to go into it like calmly. Like we're not gonna do anything like one parent speaks one language, one parent speaks the other. That just doesn't work as well for us so far as what we are imagining. But I do want to have him like passively learn a language because I think there is so much that can be learned just from like passive, like maybe listening to some cartoons in Ukrainian, or I mean even just talking to grandparents as well. It's going to be just that like passive learning, so that once he grows up, like if he wants to learn how to write properly, how to do all of that, like that is so much easier when you already have a basis of like, I at least understand people and I can speak to them.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing is finding ways to see family across different continents. This is going to be extra difficult once we're going to be in the US, but a lot easier because I won't be in the military, because I'll be able to finally visit your parents and your family members in Ukraine. Our family members are spread out everywhere. My now extended family lives in 2 different states. My other relatives live in multiple different states, the Philippines and in Canada. Your family is in Canada and in Ukraine, so just navigating the logistics of that requires a lot of planning and just strategic financial budgeting for like which years are we going to go to Europe, which years are we going to go to a different state or Canada. So that's something that we are looking forward to when visiting family, but also having to wisely plan it out, steward our finances and our time properly, because we optimally want to see them and have them see our children, their grandchildren, but of course with a lot of caution, a lot of talking, and a lot of planning.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of being like in a multicultural, especially cross-country relationship, is that it seems like I have to take a world tour to see all friends and family.
Yes, yeah.
And that can be a little complicated. Yeah, and I think lastly, the last thing that we thought that we are working on is communication with extended family.
Yes.
Because, you know, when you take into account like families that either moved to a country or even like, you know, your parents moved to the States, you were already like adapted, like as a kid you were growing up in the States, so you were adapted to like the States culture, you know, but so you were already different from your parents. And then, you know, my family being like in a different country, so like trying to navigate like, you know, our inter-family communications.
Yeah.
Because, you know, for us it's like a little easier to adapt because we already grew up in this like, you know, you watch the same shows from the same like countries and like influences, like I don't know, there's a lot of things that are in common for us that are not in common for like us in our parents. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, we've spent the last 3 years growing together, watching the same things, listening to the same things, talking with the same people, experiencing the same culture, that we've created our own relationship culture and communication and how we speak. That when we go and talk to our parents, it's a lot, or siblings, it's a lot different because we speak differently than them. We watch and see and hear and act in a different way than them. Then what they expected was who we were when we were in their household. And that's something that's we're trying to navigate, because we're no longer that person that was in their household anymore. We're completely different people, changed by an amazing God and an amazing spouse. So
yeah, and specifically with the cultural differences is like what I was trying to get to and I couldn't like phrase it well, is that like whenever a family like immigrates to a different country, like that first generation is always going to keep more of the like cultural differences than the second generation. So I feel like both of us, like we are that like second generation that like we don't have as many, like we're more adaptable. But then, you know, when you go talk to my parents or I go talk to your parents, like we know we are more shocked by the differences, or like it's harder to navigate. It's like, oh wait, did they get angry at me? It's like, no, that's just their natural way of talking. Which is really funny. I remember when my dad was traveling and here was my mom, and my dad was just, you know, just like he can keep like a straight, like serious face, but he can be enjoying things. So like my mom would be the person who would be like, oh, you know, everything is so beautiful and so amazing, but my dad can just be peacefully enjoying, like he wouldn't be commenting. But then for you, it was hard to see someone who's like does not like, you know, tell you like, oh, how they are feeling or so you were thinking that he was not enjoying, but then I was like, no, like he loved the trip, like he's literally like living his best life.
In the same way as like my family, whenever I would call my parents up and my parents would either get excited or we just talk normally, or sometimes my dad and I would debate civilly, like being able to just share thoughts about what we think on a certain subject. And you would think, oh, did you guys fight? It's like, no, that's just how we talk. It's like we speak loudly and very animated. It was funny to me because I was like, no, that's not even angry tone. That was just normal conversational tone for Filipinos. But yeah, it's just funny to navigate around and see the differences.
Yeah, but again, we wanted to mention just these few things that we are working on. Again, maybe we'll come back to it on this podcast later and be like, hey, you know, we have some tips on how to work through this. But so far, there's always some things that we, you know, learned and went through and we can share, and then also some things that we are still working on. So stay tuned for for more on that, we'll update you how we're doing.
Yes. And with that, thank you guys for coming to this episode. We will be talking on a different topic. We don't know yet, but we'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.
Bye.